So no one's allowed to hear what Origen says. He's the most banned writer of all time, or he was. No one was allowed to hear what Origen said until like 10 years ago when some documents got released. And like once I started reading them, the FBI was like on my house. So let me just read to you something that like we need to find out things about Origen. So this guy Celsus thinks the Jews should stay Jewish, and he thinks that they shouldn't be Christian. And he says you should just follow your ancestral customs. Origen's the same guy that's saying that like everyone beats their slaves. Of course you need to beat your slaves because the Jewish people changed his writings that much to make sure you can't know what Origen says. That guy got tortured, like probably. I mean he got killed for sure. They didn't kill him nicely, like and a lot of people got tortured early in the church. It wasn't the freaking Levites, the order of Melchizedek, that was getting tortured. Trust me, they're the ones in charge. They're the ones getting that guy tortured. He can't say that. So every community cherishes its ancestral customs once they are established, no matter what they are, and it seems to be a good thing, not only because of the different peoples, because the different people had different ideas of laws and customs, and because of the necessity of guarding public institutions, but also because it is probable that different parts of the earth were originally assigned to different superintending spirits, and having been made into separate realms, are that way administered. And in fact, correct practice is in the several instances would depend on the pleasure of those spirits. And it would be profanity to relinquish the original local usages. So when we talk about a spirit, like we're talking about, like for him, he's talking about an angel. And like he literally will use an angel in a second. And he's talking about like the daimonia, right? Because there are good daimonia and there are bad daimonia. Apparently, like to those God wishes to destroy, God first makes go crazy is a daimonia making you go crazy. So they did believe in demons, but I don't think they understood it. I'm gonna just go to the middle of the blue thing. In reply, I would like to ask him and those who agree with him who it was originally assigned the different parts of the earth to the different guardian angels, in particular the country of the Jews and its people to the one or more angels whose charge they were. Did Zeus, as Celsus would say, assign the Jewish people and their country to one or more? And did Zeus intend that the spirit whom Judea was allotted should make the existing Jewish laws, or was this done against his will? So he's saying Zeus made the laws and Zeus can change the laws, I think is what he's trying to say. Let's go to 3. And let anyone who chooses relate how the various parts of the earth, having been divided into certain realms, are administered by the spirits which have the oversight of them. But let him also tell us how it is that in several communities the correct practice would depend on the pleasure of the ruling spirits, and whether, for instance, the laws of the Scythians, and he starts going into that sort of stuff. He says that Origen thought that both good and bad angels might have provinces. Like, I would just say they're like people, which like they can be bad to you probably, like especially if you're threatening like the plan. So I had already started this sentence, but I'm going to keep going, which allow, after the law of the Scythians, which allow the doing away with the fathers are right. Okay, so like getting away with, they get rid of the fathers. Maybe you can kill your father. Or those of the Persians which do not forbid marriage between mothers and their own sons, nor between fathers and their own daughters. Why need I take other instances from those who interested themselves in the laws of different nations, and go on to ask how in the several communities the laws are properly executed according to the pleasure of the ruling spirits? So when he says the Persians are allowed to do incest, did Islam change that? Islam changed that, and like so, like I don't think people will realize that. Which even let's go to an even better example that he uses, because we shall be glad if Celsus will tell us how it is impiety, why it's immoral to get rid of laws which allow the marriages of mothers and daughters, or make suicide by hanging a happy end of life, or affirm the perfect purification of those who give their bodies to be burnt and through fire to seek their release of life. He's referencing right now Hinduism, because I think after like Sita like goes into a fire to prove that she has faith or something like that, and like she doesn't get burnt, and so like women in rural areas like probably hopefully not to this day, like will like when their husband dies because they're super old, they'll just walk and burn themselves to death. Which like if you want to die that much, don't die by burning yourself to death. And how can it be impiety to abolish laws, those of the Tory, for instance, which enjoin the offering of strangers as sacrifices to Artemis, or those of certain Libyan tribes regarding the sacrificing of their children to Saturn? Celsus must, moreover, accept the consequence that it is immoral for the Jews to break their ancestral laws which prohibit the worship of any other God than the creator of the universe. And piety and morality, according to him, will not be essentially divine, but a matter of arbitrary institution. Like there's no point to like this institution of like the belief system. Others deem it piety to worship a calf. So he goes on and but I think we've got the point. Like there's this group of people that it's their law to like if you meet a stranger, you kill them and you sacrifice them to God. Like that's your belief system. This guy is like from the Hellenistic tradition, which has the opposite tradition. They have a xenophobia tradition where you're afraid of Zeus because you're afraid that Zeus is who you're talking to because what might happen? Sodom and Gomorrah, because the angels might come in or the spirits might come in and kill your entire city because you mess with Zeus. Like those people have different belief systems, but he's saying, well, clearly, like you think that that's a good belief system. Celsus knows that's like the exact opposite of his belief system. So Libya, like, used to sacrifice children to Saturn, but it says their children to Saturn. And did that sort of thing change when Islam came? Yeah. And so like I think that people hate Islam so much, but like they have to understand like how far Islam took these people from where they were. These people were like going, "Oh, I had a daughter. My daughter's hot. You're my wife now." And like that's the reality of like how easy it was to be like, "My daughter's hot. I can marry her." And like I think like it's very important to like understand like this was a very primitive society and people do not get how little they understand about that society.